What's a company secret you can share now that you don't work there? They are out of business now, but in the early 90s I worked at Radio Shack for a year and a half. When people would return an item because it didn't work, the manager of the store would just box it back up and sell it again as if it were new. When I asked him about it, he said, "Hopefully they'll return it to a different store." I nearly got fired when I refused to sell a guy a walkie-talkie CB radio that I knew didn't work. The guy was on his way out for a hunting trip and was buying 3 of these for him and his friends. We had 2 and the third was the broken one. In front of the customer, I told the manager that one didn't work and I had tested it. The guy was happy I told him. We arranged for him to get the last one he needed at a different store and off he went. The manager was livid with me and nearly fired me. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not sending people out into the forest with gear I know doesn't work. Hilariously, a few months later, the manager was caught stealing from the store and got fired. Whoa, that's crazy. This manager was doing something that's reflective of poor morals? Wow. I never would have thought he would steal from the store. That's crazy. Story 2. Government-funded refugee advocacy agencies at a time were approving a disproportionate amount of young women, 18 to 25, from Syria and Iraq with intimate assault history for their services. Upon further investigation, I and my team discovered consultants from said agency were engaging in intimate relationships with these girls. They were denying them opportunities of employment to keep them in financial destitution purposefully. When the girls became desperate, the offer of private services was made by the consultants. I whistle blew to the organization head. They thanked me and the consultants were gone the next day. Huge meeting with the senior board. Apologies, this isn't the way we do things. Speeches, blah blah blah. And within 3 months, me and the other 6 complainants and investigators had all resigned from the company for different reasons. On paper it looks coincidental. In reality, we were all individually pushed out. 2 of the consultants that we uncovered were doing the worst were not fired. They were given the option to resign and are currently working at other agencies with vulnerable young women. Well, that's not a great report about things, huh? I'm always surprised at how much intimate abuse goes on in these higher levels of things, and how protected it seems to be in a lot of cases. I don't know, it's true that I'm probably just hearing the worst of it and that's why it seems so bad, but it really does seem bad. Story 3. I worked for a restoration company. One time an elderly woman called them to clean her house. She was either a hoarder or there had been a fire, I can't remember. Anyway, the company charged $57,000 for the work to be done. In actuality, they couldn't even get the charges to add up to $20,000. She couldn't file this on her insurance. There are other examples of gross overcharging, but this is the worst I know of that wasn't on the large loss side. The lesson here? If you have water, fire, mold, or hoarder damage and call in a company to clean it up, go through every line item on the invoice, every single one. Story 4. I used to work at a 600-plus room Hyatt. After 11, 1 front desk person, 1 to 2 housekeepers, 1 phone operator, 1 cop every night, in case drunk people would cause a scene or bums would sneak in. I used to be security 3 to 11 before getting switched to front desk. I used to walk through the whole hotel, all 30 floors, and make sure bums didn't sneak in, asleep in the hallways, and feast on old banquet food or shoot up in the parking garage stairs. I would walk around with the housekeeping manager, he became a good friend, and just chat, because I didn't actually have anything I needed to do. I used to see all the screwed up and nasty stuff people would do to the hotel rooms. Manager, my friend, used to get called for all the weird stuff and I would just go with him to hang out and we could joke about it and judge people being weirdos. Pro tip, if your hotel has a carpet, don't touch it with your bare feet. The carpet might get cleaned twice a year, but is vacuumed every stay. You have no idea how many people spill food, every drink imaginable, pee, vomit, everything. They have a special ozone machine that fully deodorizes everything in the room, basically fumigating it. Then a little spray on the carpet and good as new. It is crazy and a little disturbing how well those things work. Pro tip 2. Security at a big hotel was definitely the cushiest job I've ever had. I had free reign and master keys of the entire hotel and all convention/banquet areas. All I had to do was patrol, which entailed me once or twice a night walking by every room in the hotel making sure all the doors were locked by the end of the night. There were a crapload of doors in back hallways, housekeeping floor, 2 engineering floors, 2 kitchens, and like 15 to 20 convention/banquet areas. But this basically gave me an 8-hour day where I didn't have to be anywhere at any specific time. I just wandered aimlessly around the hotel and hung out with people from all different departments. I made friends with all the banquet manager girls because I would get called to unlock banquet rooms that the setup team left locked and would help them get all the lights on and make sure no one was sleeping in there. But I got hooked up with all the banquet foods. There were always extras. So many different snacks. Wedding food, bagels, breakfast tacos, breakfast sandwiches, and so many cookies and little desserts. After work, everyone would meet up at the bar down the street and get wasted and hang out. It was awesome. Became friends with everyone at the front desk and eventually got moved over there because I thought I wanted to get into hotel management. Honestly, housekeeping management is the way to get into hotel management. Front office just gets you yelled at by angry business travelers. I would never go back and work in a hotel now though. But if you're in your early 20s or in college, highly recommended. Not sure if anyone will even read this, but this is basically just me unlocking forgotten memories from 2009. Story 5. One of our best restaurants in my town is locally famous and everyone goes there. They say everything is homemade. The thing they're famous for is the hot beef sandwiches with homemade potatoes and gravy, and the fish fry. The fish fry they also have during the week listed as an entree called the cod platter. It's instant Cisco brown gravy mix and instant Cisco mashed potatoes. The cod is only fresh and fried on Fridays. If you order it during the week, it is frozen, breaded Cisco fish fillets, aka a blend of random fish shaped into a stick. Just goes to show that when it comes to food, the power of suggestion is extremely strong. Story 6. I worked at a major hotel chain in housekeeping for over 10 years. The amount of people who unalive themselves and die naturally in their rooms is a lot higher than you would think. I worked at a huge convention hotel with over 1,000 rooms and it happened quite often. Unless it was a pretty gnarly mess, it would just get cleaned up like normal and the next guest would have no idea. Story 7. All new clothing and everything you try on is dirty. I've worked in retail for years and it still shocks people, but there's no washing machine or disinfectant spray or wipes, nothing. I've opened boxes of new clothes that had white bugs coming out of it. Seen women after a workout class come and try clothes and then just leave still sweaty from the class. One older lady left dime-sized skin flakes on the clothes she tried on. Not to mention whatever happens when they return the item or what happened in the factory. People are gross. Nothing is clean. Always wash your clothes when you get them home. Story 8. Your warranty service part that took 8 months actually arrived 3 weeks after they paid the invoice. They didn't even order it for 7 months. They told you it was manufacturing delays and supply chain issues, but in reality, they couldn't afford to pay their bills and had to pick and choose which orders to place. You weren't a priority. They were just really bad at budgeting and damage control. Story 9. Inbound call center. There's no such thing as a silent hold. You aren't on mute. We could still hear you, but this isn't done maliciously so we can listen in. We had targets for hold time, and putting you on mute instead used 0 hold on that call, and brought the average down. Sometimes we were asking a colleague for input. Sometimes we were avoiding an awkward silence while the computer took forever to load. Personally, I did it a lot because I can fix your issue/account easier when you're not yapping in my ear with stupid questions. Also, I might want to call the last person you spoke to some very bad words for messing it up or BSing you in the first place. Story 10. I worked at a candy bagging warehouse, like the crappy 99-cent gas station candy, where we would even make trail mix by hand. Tons of sweat would drip into the mix because we would be in a 100 Fahrenheit plus room with little ventilation. Also, my boss was a hunter, so a quarter of the warehouse was dedicated to his taxidermy treasure room. Frickin' smelt like crap in the summer, but he was so proud of himself. That just doesn't sound like an efficient use of company space to me. But I guess if they're the boss, then sure. Sweat in trail mix, though. Good to know. I will stay away. Story 11. I used to work for a rural ISP. We had one access point with 13 customers, but only 12 IP addresses provisioned. This meant that only 12 out of 13 people could be online at any given time. Anytime a customer called from that service area, we would log in and reboot the tower's radios, kicking everyone offline to force DHCP renewals. It always meant whomever was calling in was able to get an IP and get online. But we knew that if all 13 customers wanted to be online at once, we wouldn't be able to service them. I brought it up with management, but they deemed it too expensive to address. I explained that it made us look like a fly-by-night shady-as-hell outfit. Since it was a rural ISP, I know I'm not just talking to one person either. I'm talking to him, his wife, dog, kids, priest, and 5 buddies from the coffee shop. Make a bad impression on one person? You might as well take out an ad in their local paper calling the whole town jerks. I handed out a lot of free months of service working there, and would often make the point credits aren't revenue for justifiably angry customers. Story 12. I used to work as a receptionist at an upscale salon. While I was there, the salon introduced a new line of products marketed towards men. Up until that point, most of our products were marketed towards women, but the execs saw that we were getting more and more male customers. Every item in the male's product line was about half the cost of our other products. The men's shampoo was the exact same shampoo the salon had been selling for years, but because they put it in a black packaging with the word man on it, it was half the price. The owner's explanation was, well, men don't want to pay that much for hair products. For the rest of the time I worked there, every time a woman came up to buy that shampoo, I would tell her the men's shampoo was the exact same product for half the price. OP, you're doing God's work in that salon. You saved a lot of people a lot of money for what would have been no benefit for them. Story 13. I worked at a comic book store that offered a service where you paid a small premium to have sent in rare comics to have them graded at CGC. A few months later, we had many customers coming in to check the status of their comics. We contacted the owner to see what was going on, and he would always claim that there was some distribution problem. Fast forward a few months, we found out he was taking customers' graded copies and selling them online, while trying to return back issue versions of their original comics. Story 14. I worked at a Petco in Alaska. Apparently brown/black mice are not allowed up here, only white mice. We got a shipment in of a bunch of black/brown mice and had to take them to the vet to be unalived. Also, the animals are literally shipped in on a UPS truck and delivered in packages. I would open a package and it would be full of fish or mice or snakes. You never knew what was coming. It was wild. Luckily, my shift manager was a really good person. She tried her best to help any sick animal and was super diligent about keeping the cages really clean. She would stay after hours to care for the sick animal in the back and double down on cleaning. When upper management came, they didn't give a crap how clean anything was. They would yell at us to get more customers to sign up for pet rewards. If I didn't pester every single person checking out, they would get angry and give me point deductions. I have no idea what the deductions even did. One of the upper managers watched me for like 3 hours when I was at the register. He said I wasn't pushy enough on getting people to donate/sign up for stuff. Like, come on dude, I'll ask once, and if they say no, I'm not asking again. That is annoying as hell. He also got mad at me when I didn't clean the bird cage fast enough. It took time away from the register. I'm sorry, I don't want our birds to stand there in their own crap for hours. So yeah, I'm gonna take my time to scrub that stuff clean. Also, don't buy fish from Petco. Pretty much every shipment that came in, they were all infected. Basically, half of our tanks were in quarantine. We had several customers come back saying we unalived their entire tank because of a fish we sold them. Screw Petco. Story 15. This isn't a company secret, but I worked part-time at a Domino's franchise in college. The owner, at first glance, was a short-tempered, critical penny pincher who did everything he could to save business money, right down to watching over your shoulder to make sure you didn't put too much cheese on a pizza. Cheese is called white gold in the pizza industry, even back in 2002. But after working with him for a while, you realized why he was so specific about the margins. Twice yearly, he would send out generous bonuses in the form of money orders made out to his employees from his own personal savings account to the college students working for him. The checks/money orders contained the memo line, "Keep learning." The amount of money orders would be directly correlated to the profit margins of the stores he owned. The dude did legit profit sharing. After I graduated, I heard a rumor that he was trying to start up a small education grant trust that would benefit applicants of the Farmer School of Business at Miami University, but I don't think anything ever came of it. This owner also played favorites when hiring. Every single one of his managers was a former employee. 3 of the 4 managers at his stores when I worked there had graduated from my college with business degrees. All 4 of them had a small portion of their education paid for by Marvin Covington. Marvin Covington, Oxford, Ohio Domino's owner from Vevey, Indiana, died in 2017. That dude knew how to do business and do it right. Amongst all the crap in here, this is a really nice uplifting one. Also, sorry if I said the name of the city wrong. Vevey? I don't know, I can't think of any other way to say it. Doesn't sound very Indianan to me, though. Story 16. I don't think it's a bad secret at all, but back in college, I delivered pizzas for Papa John's. The store manager must have had undiagnosed OCD or germophobia or something, because every night he would assign someone to do the cleaning duties, mopping floors, double-checking expiration dates, throwing away expired stuff, etc. And every night he would absolutely lose his temper and berate whoever was doing the cleaning. They were going too fast, they weren't cleaning everything, whatever. After that, he would always take it over himself. He was amazingly picky about the cleanliness and food quality. Expiration date is 3 days from now? Screw that, I'll order more. Throw that stuff away, we're not serving it. He would also go out of pocket to buy special cleaning products because that worthless BS that corporate wants us to use doesn't get the job done. He also went out of pocket to hire some kind of specialist to clean out the fountain drink dispenser, ice machine, and all of that stuff. The machine needs to always be as close to brand new as possible. One standout moment for me was when he reduced a cashier to tears by hollering, "Would you eat off this floor? No? Then it's not clean enough." He wasn't telling her to eat off the floor, he was just making a point. After we'd closed the store, he would kick all of us out, lock up behind us, and stay until something like 2 a.m. cleaning the place. You always knew when he closed because you could smell the chemical scent lingering in the air. The end result of this was the store, the food, the equipment, and the facilities were always in squeaky clean condition. Customers somehow picked up on what a perfectionist the store manager was and bought from us all the time. Because there's a lot of peace of mind that goes in with knowing your food was cooked by someone willing to throw ingredients away before the expiration date, and stay in the store until God knows when, cleaning everything and other stuff like that. The true irony was how much the boss hated himself because he didn't think he was doing a a good enough job to run a clean restaurant with fresh ingredients. It didn't matter how many compliments he got from customers or how many service industry veterans said they'd never worked in a place as obsessive about freshness and cleanliness as his Papa John's store. He was convinced his store was still a filthy barn. Eventually, he got promoted to some kind of higher-level corporate position, district manager or something. It required him to visit other stores and make sure they were all up to spec. The end result of that was a lot of stores in his area all improved seemingly overnight. The horror stories I've read about those soda drink machines, oh my god. Having a guy like this manage any kind of restaurant, fast food, whatever, incredible, amazing. I want more of this. Admittedly, sounds like he went a little overboard on stuff, but that kind of attention to detail, I also respect. I would buy from there too. Story 17. I worked in insurance billing at night as a side job while still going to school as a physician. I had the hard job of fighting insurance for things like a 4-ounce bottle of betadine, 5% for $300 that your insurance doesn't want to pay for, or life-saving services that keep people alive like transplants, cardiac surgeries, etc. Sometimes I would be fighting for months on these things and they would exhaust me and it would get so personal. I looked at their chart, their story, their history and visits, and over the years I have written off or just erased several millions of dollars in medical bills just because I didn't have the heart to let it fall back on people. Tiny 3-day-old babies who needed new hearts, grandma who is only 50 who needed a new kidney, papa who needed a new liver and new medical treatment for his condition, twin baby girls who needed surgery while mom was pregnant to save them both, a husband who needed brain surgery while his wife was pregnant, a firefighter needing cancer treatment. I just paid it all, silently at night. All they received was a statement in the mail that things had been covered and medication/services are taken care of, like no balance was owed to the hospital, etc. But it was me. I just wrote it off. We used donations, fundings. Certain surgeries had special services we could connect into. Everything got paid. It just never fell back on the patient. I never met a single one of them. I just hope it helped. Story 18. I'll say it. A place similar name to Past Face Urgent Care, at least in the region I worked at, banned their front desk from informing customers that they have a credit balance to use toward their services, and still required us to charge customers the full price on top of what we already owed them. Some accounts have like $500 of copay that could have been refunded but wasn't. I was actually reprimanded for applying the credit balance because, despite finance agreeing my method was correct, the regional manager said, "It was not a good look for the company. Hindered our profits." Story 19. I didn't tell anyone this before and I didn't do it myself, but if you ever want to steal from a store, Big Lots is super easy. It's half a regular store and half overstock in the near expiration date time frame from other stores. You can also, depending on the manager there, get incredible deals on stuff they want gone that hasn't been selling well. This includes some furniture like leftover pieces from sets, like a set of 1 couch and 2 chairs, but someone returned a couch, so there's an odd number. You can basically ask a manager if they have anything they're trying to get rid of, and you can easily get a 30 to 50% discount just for the trouble of taking it off their hands. If they ask for a store rewards card, just give them the 8675309 number. There is zero benefit from the card to you. It's just to track your purchases for ads. Also, the store I worked at had 2 big sales each year around Independence Day and Thanksgiving, where everything was 20% off. It is very encouraged to buy paper products, like paper towels, toilet paper, paper plates, napkins, and tissues in near bulk then, if you can store it at home. Story 20. Worked at an American Toyota dealership in the body shop for 12 years. We would throw away literally everything regardless of the environmental impact. Car paint, which is nasty stuff, by the way, went straight to the dumpster. Radiator fluid, down the drain. I even saw someone put oil down the drain a couple times, even though we had barrels for it set up in the service department. The only thing we saved was old car parts, which the boss then sold to scrapyards and pocketed the money. The painter didn't even wear a mask either. He's around 60 and still kicking despite 30 years of painting without a mask somehow. Somehow this is like one of the most disturbing ones to me. Radiator fluid down the drain, car paint to the dumpster. I mean, okay, that one, I guess. Oil down the drain though? Like you just know not to do that from cooking and other things. That's just a bad idea for the pipes, let alone the environment. That just screws yourself over. Painter who hasn't worn a mask in 30 years is probably living his best life. And by that I mean I bet a lot of those brain cells are absolutely toasted. Anyway, that's all the time we got for stories for now. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope you learned something or had some fun. I also hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next one.